We're going from 0 to 60 with 101 Dalmatians, so let's get cracking! Hello all my explorers, and welcome back to Loren's Adventures Out There. And if you are new, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. My name is Loren, and I'm with Castlescapes and Clones, where we discuss everything in the Disney universe. We do unboxings and hauls, pins, box walks, Disney news, Disney reviews, and more. So if that sounds fun to you, we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications, and do like this post is to tell your favorite content creators know that you appreciate them, and we in turn appreciate that. So we are continuing our series from 0 to 60, where we are looking at the films of the Walt Disney Animation Studio in chronological order. We're going from Snow White to Encanto, and this week we are talking about 101 Dalmatians, the first film in the 1960s. This was a film written by Dodie Smith, and she actually had dreams of having Walt Disney make this into an animated feature. She was very excited about it, and was very excited when Walt obtained the rights to do this film. The film is basically, it's a very simple film. It is about a couple who fall in love. They have 2 Dalmatians, and they have a litter, and Anita, who is the woman in the relationship, her devoted old schoolmate, Cruella de Vil, wants to create a coat out of the puppies. Of course, they're not going to do this, but this is not going to stop Cruella from scheming to get the puppies, and she hires 2 henchmen, Horace and Jasper, and they round up all of these puppies, and the dogs eventually escape Cruella and make their way back to Roger and Anita, and by that time there are 101 Dalmatians, hence the title. So this film marks a turning point in Disney animation. Unfortunately, Sleeping Beauty did not do well, and it was just so expensive, and Walt was almost at a turning point where he wanted to close down animation altogether. He told Eric Larson, one of the 9 Old Men, that it was just too expensive. But he just didn't have the heart to do it, because that's what he built his company upon, was animation. And so Ken Anderson, another one of the 9 Old Men, had suggested that they use the Xerox technology that actually Ub Iwerks, hello, creator of Mickey Mouse, and who later was like brilliant at working on some of the special effects at Disney. Like, it's crazy how he went from one thing to another, but he received a lot of awards for his work. But anyway, Ub Iwerks was working on Xerox technology to kind of help out with animation. And Ken Anderson said, you know, can we try using Xerox animation on 101 Dalmatians? And Walt, he was just kind of like, okay, go ahead, play around with it or whatever, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing how if they didn't use this Xerox technology, Disney Animation could be closed today. Like, they could have stopped in the 50s. So thank goodness for the team that wanted to really continue to do the animated films, to come up with solutions. One of the drawbacks to Xerox animation was the fact that they couldn't really get rid of that black line. It had a black line, and almost you could see the animator scratch in it as well, which I think gives animation a certain dynamic to see that. But I'm going to put a picture of Sleeping Beauty up here and 101 Dalmatians up here. And you can see the difference. There's an ink line to Sleeping Beauty over here, whereas over here it's all black line. Basically what Ken Anderson did was that he used the style of a British cartoonist, a very famous cartoonist by the name of Ronald Searle. And he used a lot of black line as well. He used India ink and things like that. And so not only did he did the animation have that black line, but so did the backgrounds. And so it's very fascinating. It has a very specific look, just like all Walt Disney Animation did back in the day. Sometimes they, even though the characters might look similar, there's always been a different kind of look for each of the films. It's something that I kind of wish we had more of these days. People want like just a certain standard look, which I think is boring, personally. I kind of like the fact that they switched different styles and did different things back in the day, and I just wish that we would do it more often. You know, they didn't have a lot of music. Obviously Cruella de Vil is a very famous song, but there aren't really any others. There's a Dalmatian Plantation at the end, but, it's not one that's very well known. Canine Crunchies, sung by Lucille Bliss, who was Anastasia in Cinderella and Smurfette in the Smurfs. Another first for 101 Dalmatians was that it was written by only one person. That was the first time that happened at Walt Disney Animation Studios, and it was by Bill Peet. And Bill Peet, actually, a funny story is that, and I remember reading this one when I read his autobiography, that he didn't know how to use a typewriter. So he wrote the whole thing out by hand. And then he eventually had it typed up. Walt thought it was great stuff, and they moved forward with it. And the rest is history with 101 Dalmatians. Mark Davis did wonderful and amazing work on Cruella de Vil. He based it on like some of the divas of Hollywood, Betty Davis, Rosalind Russell, and Mary Wicks, who was the voice of Laverne in Hunchback of Notre Dame, and she was a very famous character actress. She was in Sister Act. She was in so many things. But anyway, she was one of the models for Cruella de Vil. Anyway, 101 Dalmatians has a fascinating history. And for a film that kind of saved animation, it's had a very big legacy. Like it bore how many? There was 101 Dalmatians, 102 Dalmatians. There was a animated sequel, Cruella, recently with Emma Stone. That's a spin-off of 101 Dalmatians. I think they've had at least 2 television shows based on 101 Dalmatians. So it's a very popular film for a film that helped really save animation back in the day. It did very well critically. Some critics hailing it as one of the best films since Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Despite the uphill climb for this film, it still, again, like all, is a enduring classic of the Walt Disney Animation Studios. And I'm so glad to have watched it again. I really did enjoy seeing it again. If you had fun today, we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel. We'd love it if you would hit the bell for notifications. And please do like this, folks, as it really does help us out. Visit us on all of our socials down below. Visit our website at www.castlescavesandclones.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you later. Bye!